Well, they brief you to start with, and they organise witnesses, and the assiduous ones, the ones that good workers, will give you proper instructions as to what happened and set out relevant law and matters such as those, and they'll take notes. They'll remind you on occasions of what was said because they've probably taken a note of it sometime in court. So it's a completely different function. It's the solicitor that the client sees off the street. Well, the jury are going to decide the facts. It's a very shortened trial, so I'm not too sure exactly how it'll pan out because the law isn't easy, but we've tried to simplify it. But the jury decide the facts, the judge decides the law. The judge is the judge of the law, and she's the arbiter. If there's arguments between barristers, she makes rulings. Might be arguments about admissibility or other matters.
Well, we'll have what's called a hung jury, which means that essentially that they'll be discharged after a certain amount of time if they can't agree, and then another jury will come and try the same case again. Well, it's most important that everybody has the presumption of innocence. He's not guilty, and we say that it's very important that someone is there to stand up for people who are falsely accused of crimes, particularly serious crimes like this.
Right, now what I'm doing now is opening the case, but I'm not trying to scare you, and that is, I'm going to tell you something about it for the obvious reason that we're going to call witnesses. There are a number of witnesses going to be called. Unless you know what the issues are and something about the law, then you really won't be able to assess the evidence as it goes along. The prosecution case is the accused was looking for the contract. Police found the boat ransacked when they searched it after attending the scene. It was likely that we say that he was looking for the contract at that time. The accused admitted to police that he attended the marina that night to collect a golf putter. He did not mention going onto the boat where Elaine Briggs was assaulted. Later, however, in a formal interview, the accused said that he had heard moaning coming from the Briggs boat and then found Elaine Briggs in her injured condition. Now, this evidence is evidence that, well, like all of it, that you will want to assess because his clothing was examined forensically afterwards. Blood was found on the toe, the right toe of the runner that he was wearing, and there's also blood on the inside of the right leg of the trousers he was wearing. The accused person has been charged with aggravated burglary and intentionally causing serious injury. The onus is on the prosecution to prove all the elements of the offence beyond reasonable doubt.
Mr Telfani, of course, is presumed innocent, and in this case clearly is innocent. It's our case that there's been a wrongful assumption made from the beginning, from the very moment that the police became involved in this case, and that in fact Mr Telfani was nothing more than a good Samaritan who happened upon this unfortunate crime scene and did what any responsible people would do. He assisted as best he could, not being skilled in first aid, and then rang an ambulance, which was quickly on the scene. But what we say about that person is it's not our client. And that yes, Mr Van Nalstrom may have seen our client leave the area of the marina, but he certainly didn't see our client arrive or be at the crime scene in any way. And so at the time of these unfortunate events, our client was safely at home with his wife and watching the television. So he has a perfect alibi for what occurred and a perfectly logical explanation for the blood on the clothing, which you'll hear from in due course. As to motive, we say there is none. It's a nonsense. The suggestion that he would attack the daughter of the neighbouring Mr Briggs is nothing short of absurd. So that's our case, and so in issue very much is the aspect of identification, and that's what you'll be hearing about today.
There are three fundamental principles that apply in any criminal trial, and you need to bear these in mind while the evidence is being led. The first fundamental principle is that under our system of criminal justice, any person charged with a criminal offence is assumed innocent of that offence unless and until a jury decides otherwise. That means your starting point is that the accused man in this trial is innocent until you decide he isn't. It's called the burden of proof. Under our system of criminal justice, no accused person has any burden to prove anything. In particular, they do not have to prove their innocence.
Your Honour, would you call Herbert von Nalstrom, please? at about 11 p.m, did you observe something?
Yeah, at about 11, I noticed a man who was coming onto the pier. I noticed him just come through the gate opposite where my boat is moored at the dock.
Yeah. And could you describe the person you saw coming onto the pier?
Yeah, he was about my height, about 1.8 metres tall, reasonably solidly built. He had curly hair, short curly hair, wearing glasses with a short curly moustache, and he was wearing a dark shirt, dark trousers and black shoes.
And did you see what he did when he got to the car park?
Well, as he was running, he had some sort of like a pole or a bar in his hand as he ran past.
You were quite sure, weren't you, that it was at 11 p.m. when you saw the offender arrive at the marina?
Yeah, that's when I saw the man come.
And the offender was wearing black shoes.
Yes. Well, I thought they were black.
And the offender had a curled moustache and short curly hair and glasses.
Yes, that's right.
So then the next thing you see quite some time later, 30 or 40 minutes, is I suggest you an entirely different looking person who runs past wearing dirty white runners.
I know it was the same guy.
And it was that person had a ponytail, not something you saw before.
Oh, I might not have seen the ponytail the first time, but it was the same person.
And indeed, you make a point that you paid particular attention as the person you'd seen earlier had turned to walk in an easterly direction, and you saw them even turn their head, you said, so you had a good chance to see if that person had a ponytail, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I guess, but I probably wasn't paying too much attention in the first time.
You were very clear, weren't you, when you spoke to the police very soon after this incident, that the person you'd seen arrive and go heading towards that yacht at 11 o'clock was a person who was not wearing a ponytail, but who had the black shoes, the dark trousers, the moustache and the glasses and the curly dark hair.
Well, I don't remember seeing a ponytail the first time. Yep.
Your Honour, I'll call Jane Sledge.
Yes, thank you.
Your name is Jane Sledge?
Yes, that's correct.
And you are a forensic scientist employed by the Forensic Science Laboratory?
That's right.
Could you please tell the jury what that is?
So this is a drawing of the rear of the shirt that was in a plastic bag, and the black area here is where there were blood spatter droplets. Now these were discrete droplets that I saw on the rear waistband of the shirt, and they were crusty, dried and globular.
And what type of blood was it on the clothes?
It's human blood, and all the blood stains were of the same blood type of the victim, Miss Briggs. I did not find any blood or on the golf club or any other matter such as human hair or skin, and I didn't conduct any further examination of the golf club.
And all you have to go off to make your conclusions is the clothes in the bag.
That's right.
And you received the clothes in a single bag, is that right? And they weren't individually bagged within that?
No, they weren't.
So it's possible that within the bag there was contamination of the blood spatter staining from one piece of clothing to another?
That's a possibility.
And if that's a possibility, then really your conclusions today are possibly wrong.
My conclusions are possibly wrong, but my opinion's based on my experience at crime scenes and examinations over 11 years.
If the victim in this matter was coughing up blood and that blood was coughed onto the accused shirt, that could also explain that blood spatter?
Yes.
Being charged with these serious offences, what do you say to the allegation that you attacked the unfortunate victim Elaine Briggs?
Wasn't me.
Where were you at 11 p.m. on the 9th of April?
I was at home with my de facto wife.
Do you wear glasses?
No,
You've got a ponytail in your hair? Do you usually wear your hair in a ponytail?
usually I cut my hair last month. I was getting teased a bit by the boys at work.
Has your hair ever been curly?
No,
You said you knew you had blood on you as the result of going and crouching down next to the lady. Is that correct?
that's right.
You didn't tell the police that, did you?
No,
No. In fact, when the police first spoke to you, you didn't tell them anything about going onto the boat and seeing anybody injured there, did you?
that's right. I sort of freaked out by that stage and was scared that they'd think it was me.
You rang up O, did you not?
That's right.
You didn't leave your name or any identifying number. Why didn't you leave your name?
Well, I didn't want to get more involved.
You didn't leave your name because you knew you didn't want the police to track you down, did you?
I was scared that they would think it was me.
Why didn't you didn't tell them then that you were watching a TV program at 11 o'clock, didn't you? Did you?
No.
Well, that would have been the time to tell them, wouldn't it? If you were sure that you were watching a TV program, you knew what time it started, surely you'd say, it's not me, I was watching TV at home at 11 o'clock.
Well, I said that I was at home.
Miss Jacob Brown, when Elmo came back from the marina that night, he didn't tell you that he had found a woman lying in a pool of her own blood, did he?
No, he didn't. He just went upstairs to bed.
He didn't tell you that he put a pillow under her head to stop her coughing and spluttering on her own blood?
No.
And he didn't tell you that he called 000, did he?
No.
Miss Jacob Brown, I'm asking you about after Elmo was charged. You didn't come forward, did you?
I object to the question, Your Honour. There's no obligation on a member of the community to take themselves to the police. It's for the police to investigate a crime, not for people to bring themselves to the police and have the police investigate for them.
Look, it'll probably be a matter of a comment by the prosecutor, but I don't see that there's anything objectionable in that.
The important thing is he identified the accused person as being the same person who went in and the person who came out. Now the other point is, if he wasn't the same person, what happened to the other person? He just mysteriously disappeared off the face of the earth after having committed this atrocious crime. We would say there's only one reason why he didn't leave his name and address, and that is because he didn't want to be found out. There's a motive. The Crown doesn't have to prove a motive. That's the law. It doesn't have to prove. But in this case, there is a motive.
This is clearly a case of mistaken identification or a wrongful assumption being made by the main prosecution witness that the person who he had earlier seen must have been the same person. And if there's an hypothesis consistent with innocence, then the obligation on you is to acquit our client. We say that the simple fact is our client was at home with his lovely wife, his lovely pregnant wife at the time of this awful event. He has an alibi capable of being investigated, and you should find him not guilty.
Thank you. Are you satisfied beyond reasonable doubt that the accused man is the person who committed the aggravated burglary and the attack upon the victim in this matter? Yes, thank you, Mr. Foreman. I understand you have a verdict. Yes, Mr. Associate.
Mr. Foreman, on the charge of aggravated burglary, do you find the accused Elmo Telfani guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
And on the charge of intentionally causing serious injury, do you find the accused Elmo Telfani guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Is that the verdict of you all? Thank you.
Well, ultimately we thought there was not enough information presented to convince us that he was guilty.
Oh, really good, really interesting. It highlighted a whole lot of stuff, as a juror, how difficult it is to listen to the evidence and also to understand some of the directions. The prosecutors were trying to tell us one thing, the defence was trying to tell us one thing, and then we really had to focus on what the judge's directions were. So I found that really interesting.
It's a big weight, really, because you're dealing with someone's liberty, or you're potentially putting someone out there who has committed a crime if you find them not guilty, so it's a big responsibility.